Welcome to our community. Susie Thomas here with you this morning, and we are welcoming John Ruhlin, who is author of Giftology. Good morning.
Thanks for having me, Susie. This is great.
John, first of all, you are a local guy. That's why you're here on our community. You are born and bred here. Tell us a little bit about your story.
Yeah, so I grew up near Atwood Lake, Delroy, Ohio, small, I think less than 500-person town, one light. Grew up on a farm, and we weren't poor, but we definitely didn't. I wasn't the kid wearing the Air Jordans at school. We were thrift shopping and those sorts of things. So I was pretty motivated in school to maybe not do as much farming in my future, and so I was going to go be a doctor. And so I ended up starting college at Malone, pre-med, and was really fortunate to have a mentor. He's actually a board of trustee member there at Malone, Paul Miller, attorney Paul, and he kind of modeled this kind of generosity principle to me early on when I entered with Cutco, the knife company. I was looking for ways to pay for college, get out of school debt free. That was my goal: was no loans. I was going to work my way through school. And I remember presenting an idea to him of giving away pocket knives, and he had this crazy idea to give away paring knives. And I was really confused as a 20-year-old kid. Like, why would you give away grown men, like guys that own pallet shops? Why would you give paring knives away? And he said, because I want to take care of the inner circle, and if you take care of the inner circle, everything else takes care of itself. And so that was kind of the lightning bolt moment that kind of changed my life forever. That was 16 years ago while I was at Malone, and my path went a completely different direction from there.
At what point did your path change directions? You did not go into medicine. You went into business?
Yeah, well, I realized that I was probably motivated more by financial gains than I was. I could talk to people without operating on them, so I could be a business person, and that was okay. And so I had a really strong professor who's Melanie Reddy Ross, who's really she was amazing at communications, and she got me thinking about communications differently, like PR marketing. And then I had this aha moment and started the business when I was in school, so my sophomore year. And so that was really the impetus to switch majors, start the business. I'm like, I need to finish my degree, but I operated my business at the same time. So I'm hiring people at the same time that I'm going to college, and got it done in 4 years, and was fortunate to break all the records for Cutco out of about 1.5 million distributors. We finished number one in the history of the company, and they've been around for like 70 years. So
as a college student, that's
student.
Just remarkable.
It was crazy. It wasn't part of the master plan. I thought I thought I would be lucky if it lasted a summertime, and because the knives are not inexpensive, and I had no real sales experience, and but it was the mentors that poured into me, gave me confidence. Ray Showen was my first person I ever sat down with, so she attended the event, which was amazing to have your first Cutco customer from 16 years ago from Malone College attend the event that you're now launching this national speaking tour. It was just crazy.
Yeah. Let's go back to that advice. Take care of the inner circle first. What did that mean to you? What resonated within you? And what has that done to spur on what's happening now?
I think, at first it was kind of confusing, because if you're not married, you don't have, and I didn't have an assistant, and I didn't have kids. So part of it was like I knew in my head what it meant, but it means a lot more now. I have 3 daughters under 5.
Yes.
I have a wife. I have 3 assistants. So the way I think about things now, I realized how powerful it was, and it was a gradual kind of eye-opening thing. But I think initially it made me understand it wasn't really about the knife or the gift. It was about the intentions behind it and the thoughtfulness behind it. The knife was the delivery vehicle to making somebody feel special and appreciated. And that was really powerful. So I now I understand, like, if somebody does something nice for my wife, like, I look good, I feel good, everybody wins. And so but it was just a simple thing that I started to teach that to other people.
Yeah.
And a lot of business people, they think, well, my clients are all men, so I'm going to send them all golf stuff, or I'm going to send them all hunting stuff. And it's easy to forget about the inner circle. And so it's a very powerful thing to incorporate into business life, but really everybody has an inner circle that's important to them. And those
people are often the decision makers as far as the family finances, or they are at least a partner in the decision making.
They're definitely an influencer.
Absolutely.
I can tell you, we don't do business with people my wife doesn't like, or we don't vacation with people my wife doesn't like. We don't. we're a team. And
Yes.
so a lot of times people forget about the other members of the team and they think, in financial services, that person's the decision maker. Well, no, there's a whole group there that influences that. And so that was to figure that out when I was 20, 21, 22 years old. And I'd walk into business meetings and the guys are 45, 50, and I'm talking about relationship building strategy. They're like, where'd you learn? Like, this is crazy. And I think they just buy knives just because they were so blown away. They're like, if this kid's teaching us this, then we'll try it.
Yeah. Well, let's take it from there now, because where has that led? Because in those 16 years now, you've continued to learn relationship building strategies and what all that does. As far as business in terms of being a relationship and not just a transaction. And that has led to this new book. So tell me, connect the dots for us.
Yeah. So, we started to realize that people didn't know it. So we started to teach more about it. But I'm a country boy. I wasn't like, the idea of speaking to companies, I started to refer out the speaking engagements. But eventually people were like, no, we want you to speak. And so I would speak. And people were like, wow, that's really cool. And then they said, well, the knives are amazing, but what else do you have? And so we started to add other really world-class products into our service. And they're like, well, we don't have the time to ship it. Can you help us ship it? So we really became kind of a gift strategy and logistics company. And gift, kind of loosely saying, really it's relationship building. Like at the end of the day, I think in 2016, there's all this technology, but people are still craving, like there's more conferences now than there ever have been because people still want that face-to-face interaction. They don't want just an auto-responder email. They handwritten note, like, oh my gosh, like we decided to make our letterhead, it's like a $9 piece of steel. So when I send somebody a note, it shows up in this crazy black envelope. And people respond, they're like, I haven't got a handwritten note in like months, sometimes years.
Absolutely.
And so I think a lot of what we teach now with our company, Rulin Group is really the gift strategy and logistics company. And then John Rulin is, last year we got to speak at Google. Like we're starting to be asked by professional sports teams and franchises to come in and teach this because I think, Instagram's great, Facebook, Snapchat, all those are amazing, but we still crave authentic interaction. And I think that most people don't need more stuff. But I'll ask them, what are the things you'd go into your house for? The 5 things if your house is on fire, and it's usually like pictures.
Yes.
It's maybe a meaningful thing. I call them artifacts.
Yes.
So we're inspiring people to say, if you are going to give somebody something, make sure that it's personalized and world class and unique and something that becomes a part of the fabric of their family's being. That's a gift. A gift should be all about them. And most people in business have confused promotional items and marketing tools as being gifts. Those are all about the brand. Those are all about the giver. They're not all about the receiver. And so we've been gently but candidly calling people out. And when we speak, CEOs are nodding. They're like, oh my gosh, I've been doing this for 40 years. And nobody's ever called me out for putting my logo on something. And I'm like, well, is it a gift or a promotional item? They're like, you're right. I would never go to a wedding and engrave compliments of John Rulin on a Tiffany's vase I'm giving to the couple. That'd be the tackiest thing in the world.
Yeah.
But in business, we do that. And we think, oh,
every day.
That's what marketing is.
Yeah. No, we are speaking to John Rulin of the John Rulin Group and talking about giving as not a Pygmalion gift. I've heard Pygmalion is you're trying to turn somebody into something else. And so you give them the gift that reflects more about you and what you want them to be than about who they are. And you're talking about giving gifts that really speak to who they are. And is this the thought behind giftology?
Yeah, giftology is really our playbook of what we've done over the last 16 years. It's very much give the gift to that. What would the other person really want? And oftentimes they don't, people, I think in business, they gravitate towards, well, let's go out to another ball game. Well, they might travel all the time and that ball game means they're away from their kids and their wife or their husband another night. Is that what they really want? Maybe they'll say yes. But really, maybe if you gave them something to take home to their family. Like I can think of recently somebody sent me a gift. They took my playbook, which is in giftology, and while I was at an event, they sent my wife the most exquisite bouquet of flowers because she's not a big flower person, but she's like, John, I want to be a bug and crawl over these flowers. That's like they designed this thing with like wild this, and I mean it was not inexpensive. It was probably a couple $100s, but they appreciated it. And then they sent each of my kids something while I was away, so they each got a gift to open up, and it was like It was like Christmas. They found out that my one daughter likes unicorns and my other daughter likes this. So they're all customized to them. So they opened, it was like Christmas. So I look like I'm a rock star. I'm in California and they're getting these amazing gifts. And then my assistant gets something for her kids, all from the same person. And we haven't even done business together. But they took what was in Giftology and they said, John, I want to flip the table on you.
Yeah.
And you're always doing the gifting and teaching people. I want you to experience what it's like. And it was unbelievable.
And you will never forget that company.
No.
And their name was not on anything.
Their name was not on anything. There's a nice little note for each one, but no, there are no logos, nothing about them.
You're blowing up branding, you know.
I know. Well, there's nothing wrong with branding as long as you know. Like if you're going to, the Cavs just won the championship. If you're going to the Cavs game, and they're going to hand out 10,000 T-shirts.
That's
sure,
good.
put the Cavs on it. Like everybody, that adds value to the T-shirt.
Right.
But if you're giving it to somebody that already has a 100 Cavs T-shirt, say you're a sponsor of the Cavs and you already have all the paraphernalia you could ever have Cavs, they might not want any more. Their walls are covered in Cavs jerseys. Their house. So doing something personal to them or their spouse or whatever else that's all about their brand. A lot of the gifts we give, I make it all about their brand. So if I send a gift to Google, I don't put Ruling Group on it. I put Google's logo on it because that's their blood, sweat, and tears.
Yes.
I put the person who's receiving it. So it's taking branding and just tweaking it a bit, and
it's making it personal.
It's making it personal.
You're talking about speaking to Google, speaking to sports teams. Tell us, first of all, who are some of these prominent businesses that have bought into Giftology?
Yeah, so we've worked with about 25 pro sports teams. So the Cleveland Indians are actually a client. We've worked with them on their strategies. We've worked with another NBA team who's won a championship, the Spurs. We've worked with the Miami Dolphins, Chicago Bears. So and we're talking to the Cavs, which is Deanna Witter. I don't know if she listens.
The World Championship Cavs?
Yes, the World. I can't believe I'm saying this.
No.
Yeah, so
can't.
I know the World Championship. Yeah, I mean, and so be a Ohio boy. I'm in St. Louis now. There's no NBA team, and to be able to come back on Father's Day with my family. My wife actually made the entire day about basketball. So I wanted Jordans when I was a kid. She got me the Jordans, the original pair. She found them on eBay. They've never been worn. When I was 16 years old, the same Jordans I wanted when I was 16. For Father's Day. So the whole day was about basketball. She got friends of mine together to play basketball. She gave me the shoes. She got all of my friends together for a luncheon. But she made the gift all about me. Like my wife even played the tables. But yeah, so we've worked with those kind of teams, but we've also worked with like Morgan Stanley and Raymond James and UBS, so big financial institutions. Really anybody. I tell people we have $2 million clients, we have $20 billion clients.
Oh my!
We're not a big firm, but the common denominator is it's people that are givers by nature. That maybe they're giving to their church or to charities or to their family, but they've felt uncomfortable to give in their business life because they're afraid of being taken advantage of. Generosity in business seems like a weird kind of concept. The idea of giving with no strings attached. That's what Giftology, that's what our playbook is, and that's what I witnessed Paul do, was he'd give things away, but there was no well, you better do something for me if I give you this.
Wow.
And so, from a biblical perspective, I started to recognize that Proverbs 18:16 talks about the giver, a gift ushers you into the presence of the great. In biblical times, kings would give other kings 1,000 head of cattle based upon the value of the relationship. What I'm teaching these Fortune 500 companies and even startups is nothing new. It's Solomon. Yeah, it's in the Bible, in the Old Testament, no less. In these companies, big and small, if relationships, if they give lip service that relationships are important, but they're not modeling it, it's not congruent. There's a disconnect there, and they recognize that. They're like, we need a solution. Can you either teach us or can you just help us do it? And a lot of times people reach out and are like, I have 1,000 or I have 10 or I have 1,000 people that are really important to me. And we send a gift once a year at Christmas, and it's this horrible fruit basket.
Yeah.
And I don't know why, but that's all we've done for 30 years. Can you please help us?
Wow. Talking to John Ruhlin, author of Giftology and CEO, principal, whatever your title is, of founder of the Ruhlin Group. And he will be back with us after these words. You're listening to Our Community.